Because of the heavy rain last night, we're doing a bit of a road trip today, heading west out of Alexandra up the gorge to Cromwell, then north up Lake Dunstan as far as Bendigo, where we were 4 days ago, and back through the Dunstan Range via Thompsons Gorge Road. Thompson's Gorge is an ancient path that Māori used to travel from the east coast to the west coast, as the gorge between Cromwell and Clyde was too steep and dangerous to traverse. Are we on the right track to go to Thompson's?
Yep.
It is this one.
Keep going down through the gate.
Thompson's is listed in the Department of Conservation brochure as being part of the Bendigo and Ardgour Conservation Area, so you'd think it'd be well signposted. It had been over 10 years since I last drove this road, and I'm not sure what's going on, be it development or part of the Santana Minerals Bendigo project, but there appears to be a heap of new roads going in and a lot of keep out signs, but no road sign saying Thompsons Gorge Road. No one was keen to stop and check out the old stamper battery as it was getting quite miserable, but I understand there's an interesting old gold mine on the way to the stamper, so next time perhaps. William Rees arrived in New Zealand in 1859 and set off inland from Mauraki north of Dunedin in January 1860. Rees registered a land claim for the area that would become known as Queenstown on the shores of Lake Wakatipu. The river at the top end of Wakatipu still bears his name. By December of the same year, 1860, Rees and a crew drove a large flock of sheep up the Shag Valley, over the Pig Route, across the Maniatoto, through the Thompsons Gorge, and on to Albert Town near Wanaka. They then carried on up the Cardrona Valley and down to Kawerau, swam the sheep across the Arrow and shot over rivers, past Arthur's Point and into Queenstown. The journey took them 6 months. Hartley and Riley, who kicked off the Otago Gold Rush in 1862 near Cromwell, came into the Upper Clutha Valley via the Pig Route and Thompsons Gorge. My point is that Thompsons Gorge Road was the original state highway into central Otago.
Yeah.
We called into the old musterer's hut at the bottom of the valley for our lunch stop. The rain had really set in by this stage and the temperature had also dropped, so it was a quick stop. Yeah, there's a lot of gates to open and shut on this road, and Jen felt really bad seeing Alan get out in the rain all day.
Bunch of photographs going out across the prairie yesterday. I'm here. this grass cover wouldn't be a natural grass cover, would it? Would be sown, wouldn't it?
You're just looking on the side of the track here, or generally?
What's the side of the track here?
Yeah, no, what's on the track here, I would say that this would have been sort of sown a bit to help the stabilisation, I guess. Around the burn. My father started farming just after the war, but prior to the top dressing starting in 51 or 52, I think it was. And so they would go down and load these planes up just by hand with sacked fertiliser in the beginning, before they got really into it. That's in the early 50s.
Around the edge for a little way and then just stops, I don't know.
It just must have been pretty hard yagging. Dad had a Willys Jeep. Dad and his man. Dad got hold of a after the war and cut the back off, put a little wooden deck on it, built a little cab for it. They used to go out with a few sacks at a time on that. And he had a couple of sheds strategically built around the farm, and they would load those up during the summer, and then from those they would dispense with the old to location points. Got photos of it home. Must have been hellishing hard work and also very depressing, because he had just under 1,000 acres, 980 I think, in the 59 or 50s. So you wouldn't really, two guys wouldn't, when you think about it, even in gentle country like what we got here, two guys wouldn't really cover a hell of a lot in a day compared to an aeroplane.
You can see in the shot the reasons why the hummocks were built into Mount Buster Road to stop the scouring out. Because we pass stockyards, I'd suggest there's no hummocks, as there would probably be stock trucks using this road. From Thompsons Gorge Road we headed east through Omakau and over the Raggedy Range, again, into the Ida Valley and then north to Oturihua to visit the Hayes Engineering Works.
Okay, thanks.
I've inserted some video from a previous trip to show what the road looks like in winter. Just stunning with the snow on the Hawkton and the Ida Range ahead. The Hayes Engineering Factory dates back to 1895, where Ernest Hayes invented the Hayes Permanent and smooth grip wire strainers. The factory where these and many more agricultural tools and machineries were manufactured ran on a water-driven Pelton wheel, which turned shafts and pulleys, which operated lathes, guillotines, bench drills and saws. The Hayes family lived on site in a beautiful mud brick house, which is still there, before they moved to Templeton near Christchurch in 1950. The factory on site appears to have been just abandoned, as all the manufacturing tools are still there and operational. After we'd had a good look around the Hayes factory, we moved on to Gilchrist General Store at Oturihua for an ice cream. Gilchrist is a working museum, with the store still how it would have looked in the early part of the 20th century, with most of the goods located behind the counter, so you were served by the grocer. From Oturihua we drove back south to Alexandra through heavy rain. Tomorrow we start the long journey north, but instead of sticking to the highway, we're travelling straight up the middle of the island over 3 major passes on our way to Methven.